when, oh my God, I can't even remember the exact details of it. Remember that summer that I stayed on campus somewhere and you were on South Campus?
Mm-hmm.
And then
before senior year.
Yeah, and I was dating that dude
Mm-hmm.
and we were in your house a lot, right? It was something that we were at your house a lot and you were kind of like, y'all need to get out of my house.
Yes.
And you wrote on, I think at that point, was it like Zanga? Was that the thing?
Man. The online diaries got me in trouble.
She wrote an online diary like that was anonymous. Didn't have our names in it, but it was like, if the person that used to be my roommate would not be acting like she's my roommate right now. And I was so upset with you. And it seemed so small, but I really felt like you had put me like on blast. Like I felt really betrayed. And I remember confronting you about it and you like basically just being completely unbothered. Like, yeah, like I wrote that and it's true. And so that was really hard to forgive because you weren't like sorry for it. So it was really just like a decision like, okay, like we either like are going to be friends and I have to forgive her despite like her not caring about this at all, or like, yeah, or we're just gonna cut it off. But no, I mean, it's funny, like it's not even something I think about now, but in preparing for this, reflecting, I was just like, oh yeah. And it makes me think about like, why did I feel like quite so betrayed? And I think at that time, the reason I did is because you were always a outgoing one and you had like this whole other host of friends. So I think the reason it was so upsetting to me is because I almost felt like you would like posted it to your friends and like y'all were this separate entity that was like looking at me and like laughing at me and making fun of me. Like, so it felt like we weren't like a unit as friends.
I remember that. I remember that song. It's fun.
I think you feel it, but I don't really think you clearly understand just how much I really love you. How you just... She's not a mom, so she doesn't know. You know, the single most thing that I'm the most proud of in life is to have raised a daughter. And I tried to do it to the best of my ability without conditions. But just to be able to just grow into who you truly are. And I'm very proud that that's what, you know, you are. You know, I don't think you know how proud I am of you, how complete as an individual that I feel. Because I'm your mom. You know, it's like you're like a Academy Award. Oscar that I kind of tote around, and I don't think she really knows that, you know, that I really feel like that's the way I feel about it.
Well, I would say the same thing. I don't think you understand, and I wish you understood how much I do love and appreciate you as my mother and the type of mother you are. And I know a lot of my your not understanding is I don't express it in the way that you would want me to, but I do, you know, wish that you understood, you know, my charge it to my heart, not my actions type of thing. You know, I get, it bothers me when people say, oh, you must be so busy, because I never feel like I'm too busy for anything. If anything ever happened to my family, friends, close ones, you know, anything that I'm doing would be dropped in a second. But, you know, I wish that you and my husband, my best friend, would know and understand and appreciate how much I love and appreciate you all.
Well, I think one of the things that we can do, I mean, especially with us moving forward with Not So Strong, I think one of the things that we have to really be intentional about is having time to talk, just like not about business stuff. Because we have Not So Strong, then we're both in mental health, so a lot of talk can be clinical and professional. So we have to make sure that we allow space for us to talk about just like girlfriend stuff. And then also like even trips, like this trip be coming here, you know, to do this video, you know, we said we chilled yesterday, and that was a decision. We could have done a lot more work, you know, on our professional stuff, but we decided like we don't really get that many opportunities to chill, and I think that was a good decision for our friendship.
Yeah, that connects to what I was going to say, because I would like to I think even outside of us building not so strong in the past year and kind of I think this has brought us closer in a lot of ways, but I would like us to spend, or the way that you could be a better friend to me wasn't even specifically around necessarily kind of trips, but time spent, how do I word this? Time spent in the girlfriend space with each other, but not in our lives. Like, you have children now and you are married. So since you, and this is 7 years. So it has been hard for me not to relate to you, but to kind of figure out some kind of medium points where how do we still kind of connect in the middle of you and family, you and husband and children, because I think they show up differently in some ways, and me being, whether I'm perpetually single or whatever it is, and finding where that space is in the middle. And I think you're pretty good about asking me about it, but I don't think we spend time together outside of those spaces. When I see you, I'm with you and your family, and it's like wrapped around that. So I think us spending time away from that space would actually be really helpful for me to feel more connected to you, because they take up a lot of your life, as they should. So it's hard to kind of get the moments where we can just do what we did yesterday, even though this is kind of a working weekend.
Yeah, and I think that's important too, because aside from like you saying you feel like we can meet that way, I think it's hard to transition roles for me too. Like, I think that sometimes it's very easy to like forget that I'm like, oh, I'm like a person. I'm like a person, like a woman, a friend, you know, and not just like somebody's mom, and just like reminding myself of, you know, all of that. So I can see that being a good thing for both of us.
And I think the ways like that looks like that when it comes to you and family and work, and that looks like that for me because I dive into work, obviously. So it's just like finding that space in the middle that's just outside of those realms, not us seeing each other in those realms, if that makes sense.
Tes is a light, like a bright shining light, and we tease her sometimes and call her Saint Timmy Lola, because what you see is like just what you get. I mean, you know, she doesn't talk about people behind their back. She's offended, and see, I gossip all the time. And she's offended, you know, by, you know, people talking about people, or, you know, she doesn't know she's hot. I wish she would, you know, accentuate her hotness, you know, like Halle Berry on her sometimes, you know what I'm saying? Yeah.
First of all, like, your energy and like bubbliness and lightness, like those things are really incredibly helpful, and I think that everyone in your life is grateful for those things, like your clients, your friends, your family, just the energy that you present in any given situation. You're incredibly practical, helpful, problem solving. Like, your drive is always like, what can I do to help? And I think that that's amazing. Yeah, also beautiful. Like, I think that is like another thing that I just want you to be like, yeah, like absolutely beautiful, and to know that about yourself inside and out. So
it's not fair when Kim goes first. Then I have things to say. I will still go back to the sense of calm that you bring to a space, and I think it's a mix of you being more introverted as well. So I think that even if things are kind of firing off in your head, you wouldn't say them out loud. But you're really able to soften things in a way that I think, because I am more extroverted and more, I think I'm also socially anxious, and I think that looks like that as well. But it's almost hard to put words to the the ways in which when people kind of see you and kind of interact with you. I've actually had conversations with other people about you with this, our college friends, some of our college friends, that I don't think you recognize you give off. I think you describe yourself as kind of quiet and more introverted, but I don't think you recognize that you give off a sense of calm. I think you're a much better decision maker than I am. But I also like that you have a minimalist quality to you. Not in terms of stuff per se, but again, you really kind of pare things down to like their simplest form in a way that happens so naturally for you, that it's easy for me to understand why your husband loves you and why he needs you, because you bring things into a center, say, well, this is what's happening next, or you'll kind of question, say, like, is that what needs to happen next? And that's all I really need to be like, no, it doesn't need to be that much. Like, it really doesn't need. And you're like, yeah, I didn't really think so, but just wanted to check. So like those things are really helpful. And I imagine if you do that with me, you do that elsewhere. The beauty, that feels like the easy answer to that question. I don't know if you feel beautiful most times. I'm not sure. We never actually have talked about beauty physically.
Yeah,
but that is something that I've also talked to with college friends around, because we're drawn to that. And again, it's not just a beauty physically, but there's something that is in your spirit that's very much present in the room, even if you are not talking in a way. I think it's very easy to gravitate towards, but I know that you don't feel that centered oftentimes, and you feel more kind of scattered around stuff, or you don't feel kind of confident in stuff. But I wish you would, in terms of those like qualities, I wish that if you believe more of those things about yourself, you'd see that the things that you're doing externally, particularly when it comes to your children, that those are just the things that they need to be happening. So yeah.
All right. I will say that there aren't very many qualities that my mother doesn't know about herself. So that's a really tough question. She knows herself very well, and she doesn't mind sharing who she is. But maybe I think she underestimates how much our family appreciates and loves her. I know that. I mean, I think that she's had to be the strong sibling amongst her siblings, and definitely had to be the kind of model of, parent and entrepreneur and things like that. And I think that our family members, I think your sisters, your brothers, your mother, your nieces and nephews admire you a lot more than you give yourself credit for.